Hello everyone, this is Angie here with Too Cool Stamping, and I'm here again with another live class. This time we're featuring the beautiful Modern Christmas Suite. This one is so gorgeous and elegant. It's not the traditional Christmas colors and look that you might be used to, but it is so modern and classy. It has beautiful gold foil accents, clean lines, and we're going to do a lot of embossing to really accent those beautiful gold colors. Black and white are the only colors in the paper. However, we're going to add some punches of color just to mix it up a little bit. So, like all of our classes, I am giving a free class kit away with a $55 order, and it's now through the end of November. It's kind of a short time frame, but I'm trying to squeeze it in so you'll have a little bit of time to work on it before Christmas comes. And so that is from November 19th through November 30th. Again, all you have to do is go to toocoolstamping.com, place your qualifying order of $55 or more. Remember, that's after Stampin' Rewards have been applied. Okay, let's get on with what is in the suite. This is the Modern Christmas Suite. It starts out with this Ornamental Christmas Bundle. I love this. It's just really clean look. You can color in the tree if you want to. We're just going to do a lot of embossing and plain black and white to go with it. Some really nice sentiments, and you can make some pine boughs out of this, a little star to go on top of the trees. Just really, really nice. Then we have some dies to go with it. Of course, we have our die cuts around our Christmas tree images. Also, there's a Christmas ornament that makes it fun for filling in with lots of nice things, the paper and that kind of thing. There's also a nice big round circle that it actually fits. There's gold hoops that are in this suite as well. I did not purchase those, and we're not doing anything with those, but they're beautiful for making Christmas ornaments. So you could make little spinning ornaments and use this size die. Is going to fit perfectly with those hoops that you can purchase. And then there's some accents as well. These are little ornament toppers that go on top like that. So you can have a gold foil or, any color of an ornament topper there. Some little accents that you can put on your ornament. Little star diamond type of designs that you can decorate your tree. It also matches the paper perfectly. And this beautiful North Star. I love that one. So we're going to use a lot of those today. Of course, like most of Stampin' Up! Suites, the stunning part is the paper, and this one is no exception. Modern Christmas paper. Each one of these has gold foil on one side, accents on one side. Can you see that? Just a little hint of a gold circular pattern on there, and then some really pretty coordinating black and white patterns on the back. This is my favorite. Kind of some random looking distressed lines, and then a pretty color on, or pretty pattern on the back. This one is some holly leaves and berries, and then fa la la. I love this side. So much fun for Christmas. This is gorgeous. Look at this ornament, and the ornament matches the ornament from the dies, and then just some checked paper there. These are really pretty. You could actually use that ornament die on there, and so you could have the tree pattern on the ornament, polka dots. And then the final one, also so pretty, like a starry sky in the winter with those gorgeous gold accents. Love that. It matches the star die cuts that you can get in the bundle. And then let's flip it this way. Really pretty tree pattern as a background that you can use. So lovely, lovely patterns in this Modern Christmas Suite. All right. We're going to get started with our first card. Oh, let me also mention, sorry, I forgot a couple of accents. We also, in the Modern Christmas Suite, I mentioned the gold hoops, and I don't have those. I didn't purchase those. But we also have this combination of black and gold and white and gold baker's twine. So gorgeous. And it's so fun for not just this suite, but you could use it for a lot of fun things to dress it up. You can do it, any kind of holiday ornaments that you're making to be fun for the cord, or any kind of elegant card. Just really fun accents. And then in this class, not part of the suite, but in this class, we're going to be using the flower accents. These are really pretty gold accents. They go so beautifully with the suite. This is from the, I think it's the Kintsugi Suite from the catalog. So that's where that's from. And then we're also kind of unusual, but this is from the Spooky Suite, the Halloween Suite, and they're the stars. They're little sparkle, what are they called? Shimmer Star Foam Stickers. And they actually, they're in black and white, and then also a purpley color, kind of looks like Petunia Pop or maybe Berry Burst. So I use those too because I thought they kind of went with the starry night look of some of these patterns on the paper. So we're going to use that too. Okay, let's get started. As I mentioned, we're going to be doing a lot of embossing, heat embossing. So if you're not used to that, I'm going to do a practice one. I know it gets a little loud and it takes a moment to get it done, but I'll show you one and then I'll have all the other ones done so we don't have to have that for every card. But all right, I couldn't not do it with the gold. There's so much gold on here and just so beautiful. Okay, let me get my pieces. We're going to start the first card out with basic white thick. Remember, if you're going to use basic white, you need the thick. It's going to be a lot sturdier and it'll make a perfect card base. This one is 5.5 by 8.5 and scored at 4 1/4, just our typical size. And we're going to start out with a 1.5 by 5.5 piece of the striped Modern Christmas paper. And we'll apply that with seal, and I'm going to put that on a little strip of basic black. And this one's just 1/8 of an inch bigger, so it's going to be 1 5/8, and then also 5.5 across because it'll be flush against the back of this card. Let me get this one burnished a little better. All right, we'll put this along the back of this card. And let me put this up just a tiny bit. Next, I'm going to create a background, and with that one, this one I did already do the embossing, so let me just show you that part, and then I have another layer that will have embossing on it. So this one, I'll give you the measurements, basic white, and it's a 4 by 3 1/4, and I've already stamped with the Ornamental Christmas in Versamark, and then heat emboss that with the Wow Basics embossing powder in the gold. So I'll show you how to do embossing on the next layer. All right, and then this, we're going to wait, but that's going to go on top of there. We're going to start building some layers on there. Now, let's get another piece of black here. This is a scrap piece, so you get 1 for the background, 1 for the scrap, and we'll start doing some embossing. We want to have 2 trees from the Ornamental Christmas that are in the gold embossed. Now, if you have an embossing buddy, if you know what that is, it's just a little powdered pad that you can wipe over it to make sure you don't have any static or kind of, if you have any fingerprints or oils on there, the embossing powder might stick. You could rub that over the top. We don't sell that anymore, so I don't even want to, I wasn't even going to mention it, but I did anyway. So there you go. If you have that, it's going to help. Also, sometimes just like a bounce fabric softener sheet. So I'm stamping this in Versamark, and then also I'll do another one in the other tree right next to it. Just going to go upside down to make sure I have enough room for my die cutting. And then I'll bring my embossing powder. I just have mine in a little storage container here, and a little spoon. Just sprinkle that over the side. Make sure it's nice and covered. I give it a flick, and that helps get a lot of the excess off. And let me put the lid on it before I lose the whole thing onto the floor. That's never happened. And then we'll get out our heat tool, and I wanted to show you the one on black because it's so fun to watch this change. So we're just gonna kind of, it's super hot. If you've never done heat embossing, it's kind of like a hairdryer, only super hot. So now you can see it go. And once you see it go, you move on. As soon as it gets smooth and glossy, until you have it all gold. And then don't overheat it because that'll just start burning the embossing powder. So as soon as it turns, just move on. I love watching it change, especially on that contrasting black. Beautiful. Okay. So those are our two trees. And then I've already done that ahead of time where I used my dies to cut those out. And we can start to put this together. So my first tree here is just gonna overlap this one a little bit. And so I'm gonna put that on with seal. And then before I go any farther, I am going to tie some of the black and gold baker's twine around it. And I'm going to tie it into a bow. I typically like to tie things just in a, like not a bow, just a little faux bow, double knot, like this, just because it's easier. But I wanted to get that look of the bow on there. It's just a little classier. I actually have this upside down because I find for me, the way I tie bows, it just seems to work a little better when I tie them upside down. You might have your own little tricks. But just like many of you, I'm not the best at bow making. So I just do my best here. All right. There we go. And we'll trim the ends up a little bit. All right. I'm going to move that over to the very edge. And then I'm going to put that on my card base. Make sure you have it all lined up where you want it to before you adhere it, of course. And then we'll center that. Then I'm going to take my second tree here and we'll pop that one up over the top. Excuse me. Been fighting a cold for a really long time and it's just still hanging on. Okay, we're gonna do, let's go about right here. So I kept these about the same level. That one in the back just peeking out a tiny bit. Then we're gonna finish up by stamping, you'll have a little piece here of basic black. And this is 2 by 1 1/8, it looks like. And I have already stamped that and done some gold embossing powder on that. That's gonna fit right here. We're just gonna tuck that actually underneath. So I'll get some dimensionals. So we'll tuck that in a little bit. So it's kind of overhanging here. It's touching this a little bit and overhang or tucked underneath that tree. We're going to finish up with a gold foil die cut that is from that die set, the Ornamental Christmas dies. And we'll just put it on a glue dot and stick it on the top of there as a little accent. And then the final thing is to put on some of those flower accents. I just really love the look of these. So we'll put one here, and another one. I'm gonna put it over here or down here. I feel like I want to put it right in the middle of that white space. All right. So there we go. There's our first card. Looks better when you get a little bit of light on it. There we go. And I wanted to let you know that for all of these cards, I was kind of using some inspiration and casing other people's cards. So I wanted to share theirs as well. So you can see, you know, if you're not feeling inspired, you're not feeling creative, don't be afraid to go out and find somebody who has a similar card or card that you like and do something with it. So this one, I did a very, very similar. I used a different sentiment and did the bow a little bit differently, but I really love this look. This one is from Sandy Rizzi. So thank you, Sandy, for this beautiful card design. I really did do it very, very similarly. So awesome. That's our first card. All right. I apologize. I have to blow my nose. I apologize. So gross. I need like a mute button. I need one of those, like when you're on the radio and you have a cough button. I need one of those. Okay. Next up, we have, so we're going to use a pop of color. We're going to start with Lost Lagoon as your card base, 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. I'm going to move this. All of these are the rubber stamps. And in case you haven't heard, we are discontinuing the rubber stamps starting this month. Everything new that's made with Stampin' Up, for Stampin' Up, is going to be the photopolymer only. So I know a lot of people are sad about that, but I really like the photopolymer, and especially for sentiments, because you can just see exactly where you need to go. So I really, really am not bothered at all. It's a little bittersweet because I've been stamping for over 20 years with Stampin' Up, and you know, rubber stamps, that's kind of their trademark, but you just can't beat being able to see through the stamps. All right, I'm putting this layer of already embossed with texture, with the texture folder of the Soft Waves, and this is a 4 by 4 1/4 inch piece of Lost Lagoon. I have a 4 by 1 inch piece of gold foil. And that one's going to go up about this much, like so. All right, and then there's this new, or relatively new, I think, die set for the Branching Out bundle. And even if you don't like the stamp set, get the dies, because they have these beautiful nesting dies. I should have brought it over to show you, but I'm loving this shape. And you get all kinds of shape or all kinds of sizes of this. So I have one cut in basic black and one cut in basic white. Just going to layer that for a backdrop. And we'll add that with more seal. All right. I'm going to go down just a tiny bit. There we go. Then let's do the focal point. The focal point, I have to admit, I got a little crazy. I'm sorry that I did get a little bit crazy on this one, but we have a basic black die cut with that ornament die. Then I went through and die cut again, but just partial, because I'm going to cut the top and the bottom off. So I'm just going to use my snips, and I just want to follow that rounded line for the top and for the bottom. Okay, so now you basically have this, which that's so cool. We could do it like that. But then I started getting a little crazy. And like I said, I apologize. So I thought I can cut it in half. Oh, but I want to, let me show you what I'm talking about. There's another die in here that has this piece, and I wanted that to go across. And when you do that piece, it does not cut the edge. You have a beautiful, like a faux dotted stitching look, but it doesn't cut that. So you have to have a piece that's already sized, and in this case, it is 3/4 of an inch. And I just did it as we're going to cut it off anyway, but that's going to be about 2 3/4. But you can see hopefully you can see the stitching on there, and so that's how much we have just as an extra, if that makes sense. Okay, so I wanted this to go across, but I didn't want all that to show through. So this is where I got a little crazy. Did I say I apologize? Sorry. So I just want you to cut the top and the bottom off, maybe a 1/2 inch. So about a 1/2 inch of the top, a 1/2 inch of the bottom of this really cool ornament. All right. I think I did it backwards. It's not really going to matter too much because it all comes out in the wash. All right. Yeah, I think that was the bottom and that was the top. Doesn't matter. Okay, next. Now you can see through it and it's black. That's the look I was looking for. Sorry, I know it's a little complicated, but the result is so worth it. A little bit of liquid glue, just little dabs. And then I'm going to do this up here just in case I spill over a little bit of glue because I don't want to get it on my main stamping area. All right. Then, while I'm letting that dry, I have a little black bow. You could use this for something else. I don't know what, but you'll have that. Anyway, okay, little bow we're going to put at the top with a glue dot. I call it a pinched glue dot. What I mean by that is we're going to stick it in there, and then we're just going to kind of pinch the glue so that it all tucks underneath that knot, and then we'll stick it right on there. All right, our glue should be pretty much dry. I'm just going to trim the edges off. Just trim it flush. And then that is what's going to go on our card. We're going to pop it up. Little dimensional here, little dimensional there. All right. I have to do something about this. This is way too pointy there. All right, there we go. That's a little better. We'll put that on there and finish up with a little sentiment. We have wishing you peace and joy. We'll do that with Memento ink. All right, some of these are not very, they're a little bit crooked. And like I said, photopolymer, you would just be able to see exactly where you're going. So we'll see if it turns out. Not too bad, but it's going up a little bit. So if you have photopolymer, you don't have that problem. You can see exactly what you're doing. So we're going to pop this one up as well, and this one's going to go right over that gold part. All right. And then of course we're going to add some gold accent embellishments. So this one, I probably should make it go. I'm going to leave it because it's already down. See how this is overlapping a little bit? Something to keep in mind. That all kind of depends on where you put your gold. You could have it going down a little bit. Let's see. Or you can move this up a little bit. It looks like I was trying to center it in there and I actually put it a little bit high, so I could have went down a tiny bit. Anyway, it's a little OCD, I know. But if you don't want it to overlap and you still want it to be in that gold section, you might even come down to where the little curvy part starts, and that would help that situation. All right, we're going to finish up with more of these flower accents. I'm going to put one in the middle, and then two little ones, whoopsie, two little ones in the center there, so it's nice and sparkly. Woo! I love that. All right, that's our second card. And did I not bring it over? I guess I didn't. I made that one all, I did not case that one, but I did, oh, here it is. It's right in front of me. I did not case this one. This one was the first one I made, and I made it all by myself without any inspiration. But when I got the swap card, I thought, hey, look at that. It's kind of a similar design. It looks like I could have cased it. I love how they have the beautiful designer series paper, textured notes, foil, and then they did that same crazy thing where they, actually that's not true. It looks like they started with designer series paper, then they put a strip of black behind that. And then when they put that gold foil die cut on there, they have the little cap on there in black, and then there's a star, and I'm not sure. I think we have shiny stars somewhere, but I can't remember what that's from, what suite that's from. Anyway, I really like that. That was from Mary Ann Grimmer. So thanks, Mary Ann, for that fun card. It's very similar to the card I had. All right. Next up, this is a fun fold card. And we're going to start with a 2-part base. So let me give you some measurements on that. So of course, it's basic black. It's 5.5. And this side is 6.5, and you're going to score at 4 1/4 like you normally would. And then this one is 4 by 3.5, and on the 4-inch side, you're going to score in at the 1/2. Sorry, just let's say half so you don't get confused. 1/2 inch mark. So let's fold that one first. Fold on this one. All right, so this is going to be how it opens. This is going to be a little flap that goes like this, but we want to conceal it. So first we're going to, you could use some Tombow if you wanted to, if that's your choice. I like seal as much as I can because I tend to get my fingers too messy. And I'm just going to put that score right along, flush along the edge. Okay, so now we have this kind of a card base. On the inside, to cover that little flap up, I have a 2 by 5 1/4 inch piece of the Modern Christmas paper. Just put that on with seal. And I'm just gonna do this. All right, so that flap is nicely concealed behind there. On the front, I'm going to do the same thing. I have a 2 by 5 1/4 inch piece of another of the Modern Christmas paper. Put that on the front. Easy peasy. Now, let's dress it up just a tiny bit with some tone on tone, again with the Soft Waves embossing folder. And this, I believe, is it 3 by 3? 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. That just a little bit of texture, just dresses it up a little bit. It also kind of mimics that same look of some of the trees in there, I think. All right. Now in the dies, remember we have a circle. And so I have one of those, and I've already pre-stamped and embossed 2 trees onto a die cut circle. So we'll add that to the card front. And then the final thing we're going to do is stamp a sentiment. I guess it's not the final thing, but because we have to put a little bling on it. That's the final thing. We're going to stamp Merry Christmas in Memento ink. And then if you have the paper snips, then I would use those. You're going to cut those out, hand cut. There's no die cut for that, sorry. But if you hand cut it, looks so great. So I've already done that. As I mentioned, they do not have the paper snips anymore. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, they very quickly had to discontinue them. They weren't being made by the manufacturer or something, but they're trying to find something similar. So this is going to go here. As soon as they have them available, I will let you know, because I know they are super popular because they were super sharp, and I'm very sad that they're no longer available. I want to have something right there, and I don't have, you can either do a mini dimensional or just trim out a little of the edging. That's what I like to do. Fits perfectly. All right. We're going to tuck that in right here. And I'm going to finish up with a little white and gold baker's twine. Put that right on a glue dot, pinch it up a little bit, and then we'll add that to the top of our one tree there. And then this is when we're going to bring in the Shimmer Star Foam Stickers, and we'll use the white ones. I'm so sorry. I'm trying not to cough everywhere, but has anyone else been sick? I mean, I've just been, this is like going on over 2 weeks now. I've had this crazy sickness that just doesn't like to go away. You know, I really wanted that other one down there. Okay, here we go. So this is our card, and I'm going to show you my finished one over here because I like how I ended up with it a little better. So I used the large, the small, and then the medium of the stars up there. And I also centered my flap a little better. So you want to center this flap. You can center it anywhere, but I kind of liked it to be up a little bit higher. I just liked it up a little higher, so something to keep in mind. And then I also finished off the inside by doing a little stamping and then a little hidden writing space there. So if you wanted to, you could do a little strip over here on this side for the writing, because that would be covered up, but I kind of liked this look. So that's the third card. Oh, let me show you my swap card that I got that from. That was from Sandy Carlson, and I was already using this for that other card, but I loved her very simple look. She just took advantage of all of the different kinds of paper, and I love how she had a full piece back here, just really simple, no bling, because the bling is the designer series paper. So thank you, Sandy, for that inspiration. All right. Next up, we have, another color card. And this one starts with Petunia Pop, 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. All right. The Peaceful Evergreen Suite, I believe, is the one that has this beautiful embossed little label frame. And so that's what I used for my background here. In basic white, it's 4 by 5 1/4. All right, and that, whoopsie. Then I have a little tip for this part of it. This is gold foil, and it's 3 by 3 3/4, 3 by 3 3/4. We're going to use this as a background layer, but then also I just die cut the center out of it. So it's one way you can save a little bit of the foil. So I die cut that pretty star from the dies out of it. So that's how you're going to get your piece. And then we're going to add some paper over the top of this. So let's go ahead and do that. The designer series paper, 2 7/8 by 2. And then the bottom 2 7/8 by 1.5. Yes, 1.5. And then don't be worried about a little thing in the middle because we have a little tiny piece of berry burst. This is 2 7/8 by 3/8. And that's just gonna go from edge to edge. Nope, it's 2 7/3/8, so it goes the same length as the designer series paper. Okay, so there's our little background piece. Before we put it down, I want to add, if I can find my piece, here it is, some white and gold baker's twine, and we'll add that right over our berry burst layer. I'm going to do that same upside down ribbon bow technique, I should say. Do a double knot and then upside down. That's just the way I do it. It just do it whatever way it works for you. I don't do it very well. So I just keep fidgeting a little bit until it looks the way it's supposed to. All right, I think that's pretty good. And then once I get it on there, I'm gonna fiddle with it. It's sticking to the back or sticking to the paper because of the back being exposed by that die cut. So let's put it on here and then we'll work with it a little bit more. Put that on here. All right, I'm gonna try it again. I don't like it. All right, there, that's better. All right, so there is, hold on one second. Okay, there we go. So there's a little ribbon on there. Now we're going to take that star that we die cut and we're going to add that, and I'm going to pop that up as well. So again, we're going to need some of those little pieces of the edge. Or dimension, or the minis. You know what? I think the minis are actually, you can cut these in half and make them even smaller. Or the minis, because they are really kind of a small space. Each one of those points. Let's see how the minis work. Sometimes the minis are just the perfect size without any muss or fuss. All right, we'll put one in the center. You got to push these down a little bit so that sometimes when you go to pull the backing off of them, they like to come right up off the paper. So push them down, make them stick. All right. Gonna go like this. It's gonna kind of be, you could have it going straight up and down. I kind of liked it at an angle. Pardon me. All right, I'm going to finish up with a little embossed wishing you peace and joy. And we'll put that up with some dimensionals as well. This is a good time to use the edging for sure because you can have longer pieces. Goes a little faster. All right, put that right at the bottom. It's going to go from edge to edge as far as the white layer, and then we'll finish up with some Petunia Pop Shimmer Stars. Put one right in the center, and then a couple more down here on the edge. There you go. That is the 4th card. We have one more card, and I made this one very simple. Well, you know, my version of simple. I'm not really a simple stamper, if you haven't figured that out. Oh, hold on. I forgot to show you my cased version. This was from Lynn Feldkamp, sent me this card. And she used, I'm not sure what embossing folder this is. It's a little bit different than the one I used. But she had the same basic look. She used some different kind of embellishment. I can't remember the name of it. I love how she used a double bow there. So fun. So that was my inspiration. All right. Final card. Again with basic black. Traditional 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. All right. This one starts out just with a background here that is 4 3/4 by 3 1/2. And I have some pieces here of the Designer Series paper. We're going to do a little 3-panel background. So all of the pieces are 3 1/4 inch high. This one's 2. This one's 1 1/4, and this one's 1. So we're going to put them on just like that. And I like to put the 2 ends on first. That way you can split the difference of any white space that you have left. Oh, that beautiful paper. I hate to even put adhesive on it. So you just kind of split the difference there. All right, and then we'll just adhere that to our black card base. All right, then I've already cut out my black ornament, and I've already pre-embossed in gold the Be Jolly sentiment. We're going to pop that up with some dimensionals. Dimensionals. And I'm going to put that right over, kind of in the center of that black. Let me move it down just a tiny bit. The black strip there. There we go. And then we have some gold accents I'm going to add. So first we have this little topper. I love that. So cool. We're just going to add that with seal, or you could use liquid glue over the top. Also, I have some little star or diamonds. They're diamond shaped, they're kind of holiday star shaped. And we'll add that over here. And I'm going to do that with glue dots. Again, you could use liquid glue. I like the ease and the non-mess of glue dots. So just stick it right on my glue dot. Doesn't want to come off. There we go. When I was designing this, I was like, it's giving me a Pittsburgh Steelers vibe, especially with the color combination, but and we'll put that one down there. I was going to put it there. I'm like, nope, too Pittsburgh Steelery. I didn't mean, nothing against Pittsburgh Steelers. I just didn't want it to have that vibe. I wanted to have a Christmas vibe. All right, we're going to finish up with the black stars this time. So let's do 1 and 2 and 3. And one little bow from the black and gold Baker's Twine. just to finish it off. All right, there you go. There's the last card. That one went together pretty simple with some quick die cuts. All right, let's look at all the cards again. Don't forget, you can earn a free class kit with your purchase of $55 or more at my website. And that's toocoolstamping.com. And you'll get all the parts and pieces for all of these cards that we made today. Anything that has to be stamped and cut, then I don't have those pre-done. But any other pieces, you're going to get your, your circle, you're going to get all your ornament pieces, you'll get your star. Everything will be cut, everything will be pre-embossed. As far as texture embossing, you will need to provide the inks, the heat embossing with the Versamark ink and the Wow Basics metallics gold embossing powder, and of course adhesives and that type of thing. So, but everything else, the baker's twine, the embellishments will all be in your kit. And again, you'll have the earning period for that is from today, November 19th of 2025 until November 30th of 2025. Place an order with me at toocoolstamping.com. Click on the Shop Now link and make sure that I am selected as your demonstrator. Remember, it's $55. This is the minimum order, and it needs to be after Stamp and Rewards are applied. So if you've earned Stamp and Rewards and you want to use those, it's no problem. Just make sure that the net is going to be over 55. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for this Modern Christmas class, and I hope that you've really enjoyed these cards. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and I can't wait to stamp with you again. Until next time, this is Angie with Too Cool Stamping. Thank you. Bye-bye.